Somewhere in the world right now, someone is praying. Someone else is meditating. Someone is reading their horoscope or consulting a therapist about the meaning of a recurring dream, or lighting a candle for someone they've lost, or standing at a graveside talking to a person who cannot answer. Someone is sitting in a stadium with 80,000 strangers, feeling, for reasons they couldn't fully articulate, that something larger than themselves is present. Someone is reading a philosophy book at midnight, trying to find, in the arrangement of sentences, some purchase on why any of this matters. The forms are different, the impulse is identical, and it is not, as it is sometimes described, a weakness of reasoning or a failure of education. It is one of the oldest and most specifically human products of cognitive evolution, the need to locate meaning in experience, and to believe that the meaning is real. No other animal believes in anything. This requires the same kind of qualification as the claim about crying or lying, because animals clearly have preferences, fears, and attachments. But belief, in the specific sense that matters here, the holding of an abstract proposition about the nature of reality that cannot be directly verified by sensory experience, requires a cognitive architecture that didn't exist before humans. A dog doesn't believe its owner will return. It has a conditioned expectation, shaped by experience, that produces behavior. A chimpanzee doesn't believe in justice. It has social responses to perceived inequity. Belief, the explicit, symbolic, verbally articulable commitment to a proposition about how things are or should be, requires language, theory of mind, and the capacity for abstract thought that cognitive evolution produced in humans, and as far as we can determine, nowhere else. Start with why the brain generates belief at all. The human brain is, at its core, a prediction machine. It doesn't passively receive information about the world. It actively constructs models of the world, tests them against incoming experience, and updates them when reality doesn't match the prediction. This is computationally efficient. A brain that can predict what comes next doesn't have to process every incoming signal from scratch, but it creates a specific vulnerability. A brain built to find patterns, to construct causal models, to generate predictions. That brain will find patterns even when they aren't there. It will construct causal models even when causation isn't present. It will generate meaning even in random noise, because the cost of missing a real pattern is higher than the cost of finding a false one. A brain that sometimes sees faces in clouds is safer than a brain that sometimes misses predators in grass. This pattern detection system, running constantly beneath conscious awareness, is the neurological foundation of belief. Every religious experience, every sense of cosmic significance, every feeling that the coincidence was too perfect to be random. These are the outputs of a prediction system that evolved to find meaning because finding meaning in the environment humans evolved in was survival critical. The world is not random from the perspective of a hunter-gatherer. It is full of patterns, animal behavior, weather, seasonal cycles, the behavior of people in the group, that can be read and predicted by a mind trained to read them. A mind that treats the world as meaningful, as patterned, as responsive to human attention and action is a mind better equipped to navigate that world than one that treats it as purely random. Belief in this framework is not an error. It is the default output of a cognitive system built to extract signal from noise, occasionally overshooting into false pattern, but doing so because the alternative is worse. But pattern detection alone doesn't explain the specific content of human belief. The gods, the afterlife, the moral frameworks, the sacred narratives that appear in every human culture without exception. For that, you need theory of mind. The ability to model the mental states of other agents, to understand that other beings have intentions, desires, and purposes, is a capacity cognitive evolution developed for navigating human social life. And a brain equipped with theory of mind, encountering a world full of unexplained events, does something specific and almost inevitable. It agent detects. It asks not just what caused this, but who caused this. The thunder, the flood, the unexpected recovery from illness, the run of bad luck. A brain built to understand the world in terms of agents with intentions applies that same framework to the world itself. The result is the perception of intentional forces behind natural events, not as a deliberate theological decision, but as the automatic output of a social cognition system doing what it was built to do in a domain it wasn't specifically built for. Researchers studying the cognitive science of religion have found that religious belief tracks closely with the activation of social cognition systems rather than systems specifically associated with abstract reasoning. When people think about God or supernatural agents, the brain regions that activate are the ones associated with thinking about other people, modeling their intentions, predicting their behavior, understanding their emotional states. We think about gods the way we think about people because the cognitive system that generates belief in gods is the same system that generates understanding of people. Cognitive evolution built a mind for navigating a world of agents. That mind, encountering a universe of unexplained events, populated it with agents. This explains the universality. Every human culture has supernatural belief of some kind, not because every culture independently arrived at the same theological conclusions, but because every human brain runs the same underlying cognitive systems, and those systems, encountering the same fundamental features of human experience, death, suffering, the apparent indifference of the natural world, the felt sense of moral obligation, generate independently similar outputs. The specific forms differ enormously. The underlying generators are the same. Belief is not learned. It is the default product of a brain built for pattern detection and social cognition, encountering a world that is full of patterns and full of events that resist purely mechanical explanation. Here is what this means for the people in the modern world who describe themselves as non-religious. The cognitive systems that generate belief don't turn off when the explicit theological content is removed. They redirect. The need to locate meaning in experience, to feel that what happens to you is not purely random, that your choices matter, that there is something worth orienting your life toward, is not a religious need. It is a human need. It is the output of cognitive machinery that runs regardless of conscious theological commitment. Secular people believe in things, in progress, in justice, in the arc of history, in the power of human connection, in the importance of their work, in the significance of their relationships. These are not religious beliefs in the traditional sense, but they are beliefs, abstract propositions about the nature of reality that cannot be directly verified by sensory experience, held because the alternative, a life experienced as purely random and meaningless, is one the human brain is not well equipped to function within. The brain that cannot find meaning becomes, in a clinical sense, depressed. Not because meaning is objectively real, but because the human cognitive system was built to operate within a framework of meaning, to treat experience as significant, choices as consequential, the future as something worth orienting toward. Remove that framework, and the system doesn't simply run on neutral. It struggles, it searches, it generates meaning somewhere, in something, because that is what it was built to do. Because for 300,000 years, the humans who found meaning in their experience, who believed the hunt mattered, the ritual worked, the group was worth protecting, the future was worth building, were the ones who got up in the morning and kept going. And the ones who kept going are the ones who are your ancestors. You believe in something. You may not know exactly what. You may have spent significant effort trying to figure out what, but the need itself, the search for something worth orienting toward, something that makes the experience of being alive feel like more than noise. That need is not a failure of rationality or a residue of superstition. It is one of the most fundamental products of cognitive evolution. It is what a meaning-making brain does when it finds itself alive in a universe that doesn't explain itself. It reaches for something. It always has. And whatever it reaches for, the reaching itself is the most human thing about it.